Welcome to the Innovator Series. Today we have Satish Veerapuneni, co-founder of Lumeus AI, Lumeus, which raised $6 million last year in seed funding to build what I assume to be the first zero trust gateway that uses AI for detection. Along with his co-founder, Surabhi Jain. Did I nail it? Yes. And I'm excited to have you here, Satish. Also, you're the first cybersecurity startup that we've talked to that's doing something interesting with AI. So congratulations on being the first in our to do that with us. And thanks for being here.
Thank you, Eron. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
I'd love to start, in the Innovator Series, we really want to highlight your journey to why you chose to attack the problem you're solving and what you guys are doing. And so I'd love to start before Lumeus AI and talk earlier in your career. I know that you spent years in product management, which I think is such a great place to hone the skills of building a software company. Can you maybe talk about your history in product management, things you learned, things that you're taking into Lumeus today?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Great question, right? So I think I started off my career as an engineer, right? I was one of the early engineers working on firmware and driver for WiMAX as a project, as a technology, right? As I was doing that, I realized that the big picture, why what we are doing matters, was not internalized as much. So I moved into product. And slowly, obviously, I've tried various cybersecurity kind of industries, right? So I've been in endpoint, I've been in identity, and then I've been in network security, most recently before I started Lumeus.ai, right? And I think being in product helps you kind of define the must-have problem better, right? And it gives you it gives you the purpose as to why this product matters better. And it also gives you the discipline, I felt, to iterate on your point of view.
Yeah,
because you do know that at the end of the day, kind of the customer's point of view also changes, and you got to adapt. And so it helps you be closer to the customer a little bit more. It helps you internalize all of those, right? So that's what, Eron, I mean, I think being in product management kind of definitely, I think along the way just helped my journey even to date, right?
Yeah. I would assume today you're a very customer driven, you understanding their requirements first and foremost, and building product that know is going to, hit them where that needs to, more than somebody that maybe started out with a, more from an engineering background and doesn't have that customer focus. Very, very cool. Did you always know that someday you would take your knowledge from product management and build your own product, or was that something that surprised you?
No, I think, look, I mean, for us, kind of starting a company was very organic, right? Both Saurav and I kind of knew each other for a long time, and kind of we are in similar industries, networking, network security. And we were debating kind of what should the next wave be, right? Is there any kind of zero trust security company or network security company that is putting AI first, right? At that time, I think 3 years ago or so, there weren't any, right, that were keeping AI first. Most of them were doing ASIC first, right, as opposed to AI first. And we felt there is an opportunity to solve that problem, to do something interesting, right? And that's how organically it happened. We talked to a few investors, and they believed in us, and that's how entrepreneurship kind of organically happened. If you ask me, did I think about this 20 years ago? No, right? So this is more organic. It just happened. The opportunity arose, and then we got started. Yeah.
So the idea of working with a gateway security product, this wasn't your first go in working in the, you were, was it Centrify and Fortinet where you were working with security appliance type products?
Yeah, so Centrify was primarily a PAM product, right? Privileged Access Management product. And Fortinet, obviously, primarily is an NGFW, network security appliance product, right? So in our case, we evolved into a gateway. Gateway is an abstract concept, right? It doesn't mean that we have an appliance that is sitting. It can be as a service as well, but gateway is more like we're giving you the secure gateway to access, let's say, sensitive resources, right? Yeah. Sensitive resources could be servers, sensitive resources could be databases, and sensitive resources could be even Gen AI resources, right? So that's how we kind of positioned it as a gateway. It doesn't mean that you have a physical appliance that you need to install. We can host it as a service as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we think about it as well, right? If I think about the other term that comes to mind is proxy, but proxy feels really limited to like web traffic. But when you're talking about these other protocols, you want something that's a little bit more generic, where you
absolutely, you got it right.
You're sending these different types of traffic to the same place to have some action being taken. Yeah. So that's right. I had forgotten that Centrify was a PAM. But in Fortinet, were you guys doing some type of reviewing of traffic and some type of analysis?
Yeah, I mean, I think in Fortinet as well and Centrify, right? So most of the customers, I mean, with companies like this, which are established in a category, one of the biggest advantage that product teams have, right, is like you get that front row seat to talk to customers day in and day out, right? Yeah. As a startup founder, it is much harder to get that same privilege. So you do kind of have the eyes and the ears very close to customer, actually much more in an established company, right? So one of the things that was a constant theme throughout was most of these control products. I would say PAM is a control product, and GFW is a control product, right? Yeah. So they don't do a very good job on visibility first, right? So everyone would come and say, hey, I'm having a hard time figuring out like what traffic, what's the traffic in my environment? What applications are folks using? What are they doing, right? Like are there any privileged accesses that are happening? Are there any anomalies? These are very common questions. Right. And very often, these are all upsell products that kind of happen from existing vendors, and they land up very slowly, very soon. You will see that you have these stacks of products and too many tools for every point problem, right? And that's what over time customers complain that this is a silo, that is a silo. Do I need to get one more product, right? Which is a SIM, which ingests all the data. So I think the visibility was a common theme that was occurring across my journey in multiple companies, and always the incumbents, the leaders in that space, would upsell their own product, which eventually becomes a point product. And soon enough, the customers have a challenge of how do I navigate across all of these point products, right? So we understood the problem, right? Which is, okay, everyone wants visibility. They care about data sensitivity. They care about any anomalies in their environment, but how do we solve this without adding too many products, right? And that's how kind of we peel the onion to solve that problem kind of through Lumeus.ai.
I can relate to that. So like there's no shortage of ways to, for lack of a better term, proxy traffic, and so know that you, in theory, could pull all that information, but actually pulling all that information, like what applications went through this, that's like a daunting task to get, slicing the data all sorts of ways. Like that is no joke, especially there's so many different things you might want to look at. So I can definitely relate to that being a challenge that you saw. I see it in our world as well. What was the aha moment for you guys that we're going to build this like AI engine to solve this problem and it's going to crush it?
Great. Great question, right? So if you look at access and access control in particular, right? Whether you're doing it through firewall rules or whether you're doing it through role-based access control, or attribute. Some database access companies talk about attribute access control.
Yep.
All of these are primarily not looking at the sensitivity of the data, right? So especially now, when you have a new traffic that is happening in your enterprise, whether it is users going to Gen AI or applications talking to Gen AI, you have a lot of AI traffic that is happening in your enterprise, right? Which is prompts and responses, right?
Yeah.
And in that world, you got to think about access and control differently. And it has to be associated with the sensitivity of the data that is going in line, right? That's what we talk about. Maybe it's not the best marketing term. Maybe we got to figure this out. But
Not
we
my
call
expertise.
this, right? So we call that topic-based access control,
Okay,
right?
cool.
And we do that inline, right? As the traffic is going through our gateway, either hosted in their environment or as a service.
Yeah.
So this is in addition to your existing access control mechanisms.
Yeah.
We want customers to start thinking about topic-based access control, especially as they care about sensitivity of the data, right? Sensitivity of data to us is either it is IP, intellectual property, or it could be PII, PCI, or PHI, or one of those, right? So irrespective of what that kind of type of sensitivity you care about, you should have the capability to control access as well. You got to have the role-based, you got to have the time-based, you got to have the attribute-based. But now, with the new traffic patterns that are happening, we got, I think customers need to think about topic-based as well. And that was the reason why we thought in our gateway, we got to have a data firewall or an LLM-based firewall, which can, at line rate, figure out the topic of that particular session. That was the aha moment for us was post, I would say, Gen AI taking off, right? Like, for example, when ChatGPT was happening, there's a new traffic pattern, right?
Yeah.
And fast forward, there is a new traffic pattern in your enterprise. So that was one, which was the insight around now you got to think about a different type of access control in line. And that was topic. The second thing is most of the customers don't want to rip and replace their existing investments. So how do you work alongside your Palo Alto or your Zscaler or your Fortinet and so forth? So these were the two things that we wanted to kind of enable with our customers. So if a customer already has, let's say, Zscaler, we can insert alongside them. If they have a Palo Alto, we can insert alongside them, right? We are not asking them to change any of their existing zero trust networking solutions. We sit alongside them and we only look at specific traffic, Gen AI traffic, database traffic, and so forth, which sits as an overlay, and that helps with topic-based access control, in addition to time-based access control as well.
Got it. So this aha moment is LLMs become this thing and ChatGPT's out there. It's like, wait, there's this new traffic pattern out there. In addition, we can use this technology to sort of figure out what's in those patterns itself and sort of catch it in the moment. And if I'm hearing correctly, like you're not trying to replace the sort of regex that sees if something's a social security number going out. It's more of like, hey, in this new set of traffic patterns, or if this discussion topic is something that maybe that regex won't catch, we can catch it because we can look at the conversation in context.
Absolutely, right? So think about this, right? So ideally, if we are successful, right, we want to reduce the number of regexes out there, right? We want to reduce, especially for traffic that you think is risky. Like AI traffic, if you consider it's risky, or database traffic, or data traffic, if you consider is risky, for that traffic, we can do the visibility and control based on sensitivity, right? Data sensitivity.
Yeah. You just reminded me of a great use case in that, a lot of these products that catch, things that shouldn't leave the network by regex, they're great at PI, they're great at social security numbers. But you know what they're really bad at is like, is this long code file, sensitive code about our company's software versus maybe like an open source algorithm? But you guys can do that very easily.
So we can do that very easily, and you got to just tell us what is your proprietary code.
Yeah.
The good news is this gateway, which has an LLM firewall inside it, is private to you. So
Yeah.
you teach it, you can teach it, you can make this person, imagine this like an AI bot for you, right? This person can become smarter with time as you teach it.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Very, very cool. Are you guys like, well, I won't lead the witness. What's the roadmap? What are the next year of what you guys are building look like?
No, I think for us, we are very, very early in our journey, right? So AI and data security is still very early, right? In terms of customers adopting it, right? So we have still ahead of us a lot of education to be done, right? So a lot kind of deployments to be done, right? So the next year is about scaling our customers, right? The next year is about educating folks. Why are we different? Why will one more solution be necessary? And I think those are top in mind, right? Roadmap is, look, I mean, the customers drive our roadmap in terms of what are the showstoppers for them to get a deployment going, right? As a startup, that's the only thing that is part of the roadmap at this stage, right? Like at this stage, it's all customer deployments.
Yeah. Fantastic. Satish, thank you again for doing this. So great to talk to you. And hey, I know you guys are going to be at Innovate Nashville, so I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
All right. Yeah, same here, Aaron. Thanks a lot. Really enjoyed this conversation and looking forward to seeing you soon. Yeah, bye.
Take care.